Greek side has ongoing for years, for century, ongoing conflicts over the, of course, the island sea so far. But these conflicts just seem to spread over the Eastern Mediterranean. We need to understand why in the Eastern Mediterranean became more important in recent years, in recent decades, or this century. Of course, apart from its strategic role, geo-economic role, or also geo-economic role in the Mediterranean area, because it's kind of a trade route from Asia, from Middle East through the European market, and then the global market, of course, using the Jebel Tariq, etc. And of course, this place gained importance after the exploration of new reserves, new natural gas reserves specifically. These reserves is also pretty much important, and according to one research that made this one is kind of considered one of the main researches so far, specific researches, as the US Research Center in 2010. They found that in Levant area, 1.6 billion gas, I mean the petroleum by barrel petrol was found over there. It's kind of a reserve over there, and 3.5, almost 3.5 trillion cubic meter natural gas reserve also in this area. And also in Nile kind of area, they found that it is kind of 1.8 billion barrel oil, petroleum oil is found over there, is expected to be found over there. And also 6 billion cubic meter natural gas also has kind of the reserve capacity of this area. In total, 6.3 trillion cubic meter natural gas reserve is in the area. So it shows how the area has become important for these countries so far, and also not just the specific countries, the counterpart, I mean the actors, specific actors, legal actors, we can call them as legal actors, like Turkey, North Cyprus, South Cyprus, North African countries and Levant countries. Apart from these, the global powers, as it is connected to the topic of this symposium, the global powers just increase their focus in this area because of the, of course, newly found reserves. This table shows us how much it was found so far in the area. The major explorations are like as follows, like Egypt found a bit more, like 850 billion cubic meter in Zohr area. But in this table, we should understand that not just only the numbers cannot give us the exact issue. In order to make an analysis, an economic analysis here, we need to, of course, know about the domestic issues, like domestic consumption in Egypt, in specific countries. For example, in domestic consumption in Egypt is more than 50 billion cubic meter in a year. Pretty much close to the Turkish consumption rate. And of course, in this under this fact, we do understand that this much exploration is not enough for Egypt to become the energy hub or become the energy independent country in the region. Of course, they are still making their research and new explorations, as is made by the Italian companies like in the area. And another big explorations came from Israel and South Cyprus area, Cyprus Republic. First of all, the main exploration came from Israel in Tamar and Levantine areas. So these are the biggest ones, is the early ones that was explored by Israel. And again, the same analysis we should make. The domestic consumption of Israel is almost 2.5 kind of billion cubic meter in a year. So this is more like an advantage for them. And these explorations made them an energy independent country and energy exporter. So all this started at this point. So after this exploration, Israel's need to explore its new sources start to make new complications, like new conflicts in the area. And of course, the Aphrodite area in the Aphrodite exploration of the Greek side, in the Aphrodite area, pretty much important for them, since their consumption, yearly consumption is nearly 1 billion cubic meter in a year. So they have 200 years of capacity, 200 years of reserve in natural gas. So it made them also energy independent country. So of course, this map shows the new in last year's exploration in Egypt. So it shows that this area, I think it was around here, the Zohr area, around the Zohr area. So it shows us this single fact shows us the importance of the area and how the conflict should be taken into consideration in the country's domestic policies and in the societies of those countries, because this area shows us the capacity of the reserves of natural gas and other maybe other reserves that like gas hydrates. I will mention about Turkey side this time. In the first place, we explained the situation of why the area is pretty much important for us, for other countries, for each country. In Turkey, of course, Turkey has its own potential. We have a term in Turkey as a term is blue country, like blue Mavi Vatan, we call it specific name actually. You should use maybe Mavi Vatan as the specific name. So this shows us this represent the all borders of all sea borders of the Turkey, and under these sea borders, Turkey has important reserves like gas hydrates, for example, in the northern part of Turkey, I mean the North Sea, Black Sea, and even in the Mediterranean and Eastern Mediterranean has such gas hydrates. These gas hydrates is more stronger than and more valuable than natural gas, 4 times and 5 times maybe bigger than the natural gas. So these reserves that are found already pretty much important and shows the importance of the borders in the sea. So since Turkey solved its problems in the Black Sea, you can't see maybe right now, but there is red dots here, red lines. They showed the 1986 borders agreement with Turkey and other counterparts in the northern side. So it shows the importance of the borders for Turkey. That's why Turkey takes it more specific and more serious to protect its right in the borders, I mean in the sea borders that they have, that their economic zones. So Turkey already made a lot of effort to find its own reserves, especially starting in the north side of Turkey, in the Black Sea. They found in the Sakarya area, as we call them, the new gas explorations in 2020 in August. It is found that 320 billion cubic meter, and then 85 billion just added up in October, and then in June, this year June, they found 135 billion cubic meter reserve in that area. So it shows the importance of Turkey's sea borders and the also potential, as well as the potential of this sea borders of Turkey. So Turkey managed this achievement using its own fleets in the sea. So it made kind of a national attempt of the energy is kind of the root of this exploration. So because Turkey explores searching this area using its own equipments and its own fleet, apart from the others in the region. So it's one of the most important part of Turkey, so important advantage of Turkey in the area. So I would like to make it short. I think we're running out of time. I will mention a bit Turkey's dependency in the energy sector. Of course, almost 95 or 96% of dependency in the energy sector is all known. And also how important, if we explain how important these explorations, new explorations of Turkey in terms of Turkey's energy dependency. In the first place, since Turkey's energy consumption in a year is pretty much like Egypt, which is more than 50 billion cubic meter. So far, 540 billion cubic meter Turkey is found. If we just divide it into 50, we don't get much, almost 10 years. But the analysis, specific analysis can be made, economic analysis can be made through this fact, like Turkey gained some advantages in terms of, as you know, the natural gas and other petroleum, the oil is bought in the spot market with the contracts, future contracts. So Turkey gained some advantage in the future contracts to make bargain, to kind of get low results, also decreasing dependence on some specific countries that are kind of rival to Turkey into this area. Like this graph shows us the dependence of Turkey into Russia and Iran, and as 2015, and this year's dependency is like 37, decreased to 37 to Russia, and Iran is pretty much decreased to 11%, and Azerbaijan and Algeria, the part of Azerbaijan and Algeria increased. So Turkey kind of following a policy to increase its share with ally countries like Azerbaijan and Algeria, and decreasing its dependency on rivalry countries like Russia and Iran. So these explorations will give Turkey more advantage to decrease its dependency on the rivalry countries, and also try to increase or differentiate or diversify its sources with small amounts, like the countries that limited sources to export such resources. So of course, I would like to stop here with two more sentences, like Turkey need to be, I would like to mention more about Greece, but we don't have time, I guess. In Greece, they have a kind of a debt crisis right now in economical manner. Since they entered in Europe 2001, they are suffering a lot in each day, day by day. They are suffering several economic crises, like financial crisis, especially after the 2008 global financial crisis. It accelerated, and they are now cannot afford to pay even the bills of the civil service in the country. And also, they have pretty much like a government debt crisis. And also, at the same time, the Greek government trying to seek the trying to make the race with Turkey in terms of its the defense industry. So once once they keep following the race with Turkey in terms of Eastern Mediterranean and Island Sea, they call agency, they kind of increase the burden on the government. So once they increase the burden of the government, people in the Greece still suffering a lot. And this guy, Yanis Varoufakis, is kind of a PM, like I think he was the public finance minister before, and he pointed out exactly the same thing what I said right now. So once Greek keep following the racing, consumption racing, and on defense consumption racing with Turkey, they will be bankrupt. So Turkey as a tool, in terms of the policy tool, policy implications and policy implementations, or to Turkey, in terms of Turkey and Greece need to be kind of discuss more about this issue and negotiate more about the issues, the conflicts in the area, because Greece no more power to continue any aggressive policies to Turkey. Last one survey made in the Greece will X-ray the topic and will give more insight from the Greece. The Greece society do not support any fight or any conflict with Turkey. So they ask 70% of them support the negotiations with Turkey, and 65% of them expecting kind of a conflict with Turkey, and because it shows that they are kind of worried about the issues because they already have economic issues, and they are worried about the future economic problems. So they support negotiations with Turkey. Turkey can follow such policies to reach more about inside Greece and kind of make policies to kind of give chance them to negotiate more in the region. So thank you for listening. I will stop here. I don't want to use much of your time. Thank you again. I'll stop share. I think, Hocam, we are alone this time. So Gökhan Hocam, maybe you can start. I think there is some technical issue. Sorry for kind of extending time and taking your time. Hocam, you can start, I guess.
Okay, just let me share my screen. Is it okay?
Okay, Hocam.
Thank you. I'm going to discuss China's digital expansion in North Africa. In 2013, President Xi Jinping announced Belt and Road Initiative. Although the main attention has been diverted to construction of ports, railroads, roads, dry ports, digital leg of this initiative is also important. China offers to rectify a lack of digital infrastructure of developing countries with this digital Silk Road. North Africa is one of these regions which demands China's help in developing its own digital infrastructure. But although Chinese officials declare that their aim is purely developing digital infrastructure without geopolitical implications, there are geopolitical implications. Therefore, we should visit the concept of digital geopolitics. Technological changes affect the configuration of geopolitical struggles. Older technology allowed European states to dominate all other areas in the world in 18th and 19th century. In 20th century, nuclear bombs technology led to the establishment of nuclear deterrence between the Soviet Union and the USA. Today's geopolitical struggle is mainly taking place on digital sphere. On digital sphere, nation states, multinational companies, non-state actors are involving in this geopolitical struggle, creating a hybrid space. China and the United States of America are the main competitors in digital geopolitics. My paper focuses on China's attempts. Digital Silk Road did not occur out of blue. It can be traced back to the instruction of Deng Xiaoping, who was the main architect of China's opening to the world. He urged future leaders to be vigilant in capturing technological developments, because technological developments determine a country's growth. China states prepared going global policy, which encouraged Chinese companies to invest abroad. Going Global 2.0 mainly advocated technological companies to invest abroad. In 2015, Made in China 2025 program was announced. According to this program, Chinese states focused on manufacturing high-tech technological products. Finally, the Belt and Road Initiative included Digital Silk Road. Digital Silk Road aims at building fiber optic cables and developing 5G technology across Belt and Road routes. Africa needs digital infrastructure investment since it lags behind other continents such as Europe, Asia, and United States of America. North African countries are demanding China's help in developing their own digital infrastructure because there are challenges in digital sphere in those countries. Internet speed is low in North African countries because of COVID-19 pandemic. Increasing internet traffic cause problems and disruptions in video communications or cloud servicing. Transferring internet in and out of Africa is also problematic. There are only three main maritime cables that connect Africa to Europe. Morocco and Egypt benefit from their geographic position, but other North African countries fell behind because terrestrial cable networks are not developed. Due to digital infrastructure deficiency, the countries in North Africa are developing their own digital improvement plans. But for instance, Tunisia prepared Digital Tunisia 2018 program, but it was delayed and revised at Digital Tunisia 2025. Egypt also prepared its own development plan, but was also unsuccessful. So North African countries require external help, and China is more than willing to provide this assistance. In each case, I also examined in each case how Chinese companies participated in digital sphere in North African countries. Almost all North African countries are participants of Belt and Road Initiative. In 2016, Egypt, in 2017, Morocco, in 2018, Algeria and Tunisia joined the Belt and Road Initiative. In 2018, Libya signed a memorandum of understanding with China, paving the way of its joining to Belt and Road Initiative. Individually, in Tunisia, Huawei involves in transforming digitalization of state departments and training of bureaucratic personnel. In Egypt, Egypt signed a memorandum of understanding for digital Silk Road, and Huawei is building a cloud computing center in Egypt, which will cover the whole MENA region. And in a state visit to China, Egyptian state officials met with the heads of major Chinese technological companies. Chinese technological companies are participating in constructing smart city in Egypt. Morocco is also building a smart city which will be constructed by Chinese high-tech technology company. In Sudan, Chinese technological companies help Sudan to build its own satellite, which will improve Sudan's military, economic, and technological capabilities. Chinese technological companies are also providing assistance to Sudanese oil companies in extracting oil from the from their fields. In Algeria, Huawei is building a Algerian data center which will gather data from all customs border checkpoints, ports, and this data center will be built by Huawei's participation. In Libya, due to deteriorating security situation, major Western companies withdrew from the country, but Huawei and ZTE remained in telecommunication sector and became dominant players. Huawei is also helping Libya to build 4G technology in the country. There are geopolitical consequences of China's involvement in North Africa. The first consequence is since Chinese technological companies are heavily subsidized by Chinese state, their presence in digital sector reduces competition and it impedes the development of local North African technological companies. The second consequence is the concern that China could use these technological companies as information gathering tools. This is actually a valid concern because in 2018, French newspaper Le Monde reported that China constructed African Union building in Ethiopia. Data were transferred to Shanghai every night between 2012 and 2017. So Chinese state is not shying away using Chinese technology companies as espionage tools. The third consequence is Huawei was banned in US domestic markets in 2019. The USA also pressures other states to exclude Huawei from developing 5G technology. North African market offers a new market for Huawei. The final consequence is Chinese technological companies is improving digital surveillance capabilities of authoritarian regimes in North Africa. In 2018, China hosted a meeting in which it taught its methods of surveillance to Moroccan, Egyptian, and Libyan state officials. In 2018, Egypt developed its own cybersecurity law by imitating China's notorious cyber security law. Therefore, the involvement of Chinese technological companies in digital sector in North Africa has geopolitical consequences. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Gökhan Tekir from Ankara Hacı Bayram Veli University. I would like to thank you for your presentation, Hocam. I think the topic is pretty much important. We also recently made a field research in North Africa, and pretty much important area as we see so far. Your work is pretty much important also. I think we should extend this work. Maybe we can publish this as a report, extended report at ORSAM. We always open for your contribution and keep in touch, inshallah. Thank you, Hocam. I think the floor will be Dr. Doğan Jiso. I do see him around. All right, Doctor. Dr. Doğan Jiso from Tsinghua University, I guess. Sorry for my pronunciation. So you can give the presentation to us. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for waiting.
Yes. Thanks so much. So I will share my screen. Could you see my PPT now, PowerPoint?
Yes, I do see it now.
Okay, thanks so much. Good Sabah al-Khair, good morning. I'm Duan Jojo from Tsinghua University, China. Tahiyat Mi'asmat Singh Peking. My topic today is about China-Egypt relation during the Belt and Road Initiative era and beyond. I myself have spent 2 years in Cairo, in American University in Cairo. So this is a research based on my own personal observation and also some empirical field research. First I will basically introduce the historical connection between China and Egypt. So Egypt is an ancient country, but its a strategic position is very featured as a transit point of the Maritime Silk Road, which is connecting East Asia, China, and Europe. So Egypt at very early times, it is the 1st century and 2nd century BC. Egypt has early connection with China, but that was very indirect. Up until 1008 years AD, the Fatimite sea captain Dumiet traveled to China, and he presents the gift of his imam to Chinese empire at that time, which was regarded as one of the first Middle Eastern country to establish diplomatic, official diplomatic relations with China in ancient time or pre-modern time. Also, this kind of diplomatic relation or good relation between China and Egypt continue in modern times. In 1956, Egypt was the first Arab and African country to establish diplomatic relation with the current People's Republic of China. So in this paper, I will briefly introduce what is role, the Egyptian role played in China's Belt and Road Initiative. What is about the development of the contemporary China-Egyptian relation? I think the abstract description of the relation is from ideological sympathy to economic cooperation. Because as you know, China was established as a socialist country in 1949. So in the first beginning times of the PRC, China was greatly supported by Soviet Union, both politically and economically. But soon after the death of Stalin, and there emerged a divergency, ideological divergency between China and Soviet Union, so which pushed China to find a third path, which is a third world country, and Egypt is one of the very important country in the third world. And there are two decisive events which contributed to the establishment of diplomatic relation between China and Egypt. First is the Bandung Conference in 1954. During the conference, the then Chinese Prime Minister Zhou Enlai and the Egyptian President Jamal Abdel Nasser, they meet each other and build a good personal friendship at that time. So they reached a deal at that time to build an economic relationship between the two countries, even though there wasn't official diplomatic relation. But what made Egypt to decide to establish the relationship with China is the armed embargo on the Middle Eastern region, which has happened in 1956, when the Soviet Union decided to join the Western countries to impose the arms embargo on the Middle East. Jamal Abdel Nasser tried to find his own way out of the superpowers, and he decided to develop the relationship with China in 1956. And during the whole Cold War, there are ups and downs of the Chinese and Egyptian relationships, which is almost due to according to the ties with the Soviet. As you know, almost for the second half of the Cold War, China and the Soviet Union are adversaries, ideological adversaries. But Egypt shifted his stance during the Cold War from the Soviet Union in the beginning and then to the United States at that time. So there's ups and downs between China and Egypt. When there is a warmer relationship between Egypt and Soviet Union, Chinese and Egyptian relationship were going down and vice versa. But after the Cold War, China shifted its priority of foreign policies from the ideological conflict to economic construction or economic development. And there are much more focus on the economic relationship between China and Egypt. And there is a turning point of the contemporary China-Egyptian relation, which is 1989 Tiananmen Square event, which is very famous to most of you, I think. So at that time, China was isolated and imposed a sanction by Western countries. But Egypt is one of the first countries to invite the Chinese state of head Yang Shangkun to visit Egypt, official visit Egypt at that time. So which was regarded as from Chinese side as a warmer gesture to help China in these difficult times. So from this time, China-Egyptian relationship is embracing a honeymoon for almost 2 decades. And during the reign of Hosni Mubarak, he visited China 9 times. I think it's one of the most visited country of the Egyptian president outside the Middle East and Africa. And what is about now about the BRI times of China-Egyptian relationship? I think there is the word coming up in both leaders and the media, which is strategic synergy. Because the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative is kind of like helping the developing countries to developing their industrial and infrastructure capacity. And Egypt also has its own vision of industrialization. So this kind of 2 national strategies coming together, we call it strategic synergy. And there are 2 factors to ensure the strategic connection between China and Egypt. First is a strong recognition and support from the elite of both countries. The Chinese side think that whenever China want to help the developing country to build their capacity, it is a real need that it should be the real need from the local country. And the Egyptian side recognize that Chinese financial capacity and industrialization capacity is a real power to help them finish their industrial transformation. Another factor is that China and Egypt have the long-term relationship, backing to the socialist times. So there are existing long-term cooperation mechanisms between the 2 countries. So I will take science and technology cooperation as an example of the strategic synergy between the 2 countries. The first is that there are top-level design for technology and transfer cooperation. For example, between China and Egypt, there is a joint ministerial joint committee for technology and science cooperation, which was established in 1987. And from that time until now, they have almost 9 sessions of conference, which is aimed for discussion of the possibility of the technology transformation and joint workshop and technology transfer. The second layer of the strategic synergy is a technology cooperation through China Arab Technology Transfer Center, which was under the auspices of the Chinese government and the Arab League Secretary. Because in 2015, when there was a meeting of the China Arab Cooperation Forum, President Xi Jinping proposed that to establish a China Arab State Technology Transfer Center, which was located in Ningxia province, where the province is mostly populated by Chinese Muslims. They will lead the cooperation between China and Arab states. So under the umbrella of this center, China and Egypt conducted a lot of the cooperation on the technology transformation and cooperation. Another one is the private sector. Chinese private companies invested lots in Egyptian territory. For example, as you can see in the picture, this is an electrical vehicle bus. It is going to produce more than 2,000 electric buses by the help of the Chinese company with a cooperation with the Egyptian Ministry of the Military Industry. And also there are a lot of other industries that is invested by Chinese companies, which is helping the Egyptian industrialization. And I don't know how much time I have. I'm going to conclude in the last slide. I think there are a few prospects of the bilateral relation between China and Egypt, which is beyond economic cooperation. One is the shared recognition of state-led development model. I think both China and Egypt recognize that state plays an important role in the development of the country. China already show its success in such kind of model, and I think Egyptians want to follow the suit. So in the future, the 2 countries will recognize this kind of model together. And the second one is the Security Cooperation for Stable Development and Environment. As you can see, China and Egyptian state have the similarity of not meddling itself into regional affairs for the last decade. So they share the idea of the moderate Islam and also strong control of the society, which will provide a stable development environment for the country's economy. And this is another prospect of the cooperation between the two countries. But right now, I think Egypt and China is experiencing a challenge of their relation, which is the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam crisis, because Egypt and the Ethiopia are both friends of China. China have the huge investment in Ethiopia, but Egypt asked China to intervene on behalf of Egypt in the Security Council of the United Nations, but China declined to take sides of the two countries, which makes Egypt very uncomfortable. But I think this is still a very minor, mistake between the two countries, which will not disrupt the whole process of cooperation between the two countries. This is my whole presentation. Thank you for your listening and looking forward to the critics' comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. It was an insightful presentation. Of course, since I'm an orthodox economist, of course, I have some disagreement between state-led development recognition, etc. Of course, this state-led development issue already successful in China. And as we see this during Trump administration, the trade war between the US and China and the Chinese kind of advantage on the global market shows us the importance of these issues, and it's still under discussion. Thank you again, and we hope to work you again collaborate you again in the future. We are always, as ORSAM, we're always open in negotiations. The mutual works together. Dr. Yasin Sadduki and Ali Bukreti, I guess, they work from Jilali Nama University, I guess.
In Algeria.
If I'm wrong. Welcome to our session, and please, floor is yours, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We will present in Arabic. Share the screen. It's okay?
It says sharing, but it's coming, I guess.
Okay.
Please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سيد رئيس الجلسة، السادة الحضور كل اسمه ومقامه، أرحب بحضراتكم وأسعد بالتواجد مع حضراتكم في هذا الملتقى. نحن الباحث ياسين صدوقي رفقة الدكتور علي بوكريطة من جلالي بونعامة 5 مليانة بصدد عرض الورقة البحثية الموسومة لغة المعالجة الإعلامية لأزمة الشرق المتوسط في الموقع الإخباري الجزيرة.net. في البداية تنبثق أهمية هذه الدراسة من الأثر الكبير العميق الذي خلفته أزمة الشرق المتوسط في الساحة الإقليمية والدولية. اختلفت الأزمة من حديث الإعلام قبل الساسة، الشيء الكثير والكثير بين داعم وساخط من أطراف، وراح بعض المؤسسات الإعلامية في ظل الأزمة يلعب على أوتار وأن جددها واستحدثها لتبدو طاقم يليق بدولة من حجم تركيا أو اليونان المتصارعان على مياه الشرق المتوسط سنين. وتزيد الأهمية في هذه الدراسة من خلال التنقيب والتحليل والفحص في مقالات موقع الجزيرة.net، إعلامي في منطقة الشرق الأوسط والعالم الأجمع. ونحاول التنقيب والبحث ما بين سطور المقالات الصحفية عينة دراسة مأخوذة من الموقع لتطبيقها على الدراسة التحليلية الكمية والكيفية. شكلت أزمة الشرق المتوسط طبقا شهيا مختلف وسائل الإعلام العالمية، ومن بين هذه الوسائل موقع الجزيرة.net كما أشرنا، الذي ينتمي لشبكة الجزيرة العالمية في قطر، والذي توقفنا عنده في تناوله الغزير لكل القضايا والصراعات الدولية. وما أزمة الشرق المتوسط بالبعيد عن هذا الاهتمام، حيث تصدر ملف أزمة الشرق المتوسط ترند المعالجة الإعلامية لدى الموقع الإخباري الجزيرة.net، وهذا في مختلف أقسام الموقع، أين نال حصة الأسد من الاهتمام في ذروة التصعيد بين تركيا واليونان.
قصد إشباع الملف من التغطية الإعلامية. لذا يثار النقاش حول نوعية هذه المعالجة الإعلامية، وهل هي منطقية أم عاطفية؟ لذا فإن إشكالية الدراسة في الأساس تتمحور حول ما خصائص اللغة المستخدمة في معالجة أزمة الشرق المتوسط في الموقع الإخباري الجزيرة.net. وهذه الدراسة في الأساس تعتبر من الدراسات الاستكشافية، لذلك فإن المنهج المسيحي هو ما يصلح له. يعد من أبرز وأكثر المناهج العلمية الصالحة للبحث والتوظيف في الدراسات الاستكشافية التي تعتمد على تحليل الظاهرة قيد الدراسة، وهذا كان بتوظيف أداة تحليل المضمون، وذلك قصد تحليل محتوى المقالات المنشورة في موقع الجزيرة.net والتي تناولت أزمة الشرق المتوسط. طيب، فئات ووحدات التحليل. أولا، فئات الشكل قسمت إلى قسمان: فئة الخدمات وفئة الأنواع. اثنان، فئات المضمون قسمت إلى فئة الموضوع، فئة الاتجاه، وفئة المصدر. ولقد استخدمنا برنامج الانتلايزر، وهو برنامج يصلح لدراسة وتحليل المضمون عندما يستخدم الباحث وحدة الكلمة فقط، لأن البرنامج يتعامل مع النص ككلمات. طيب، نمر بكم أيها السادة الآن إلى النتائج العامة لهذه الورقة البحثية. بعد تحليل المادة الإعلامية المتضمنة في موقع الجزيرة.net خلال معالجته لأزمة الشرق المتوسط بالاعتماد على أداة تحليل المحتوى، وبعد القيام بالتحليل الكمي والكيفي لمعطيات الجدول، توصلنا إلى النتائج التالية. 1. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net على خدمتي التفاعل عبر شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي وخدمة التعليق على الموضوع المنشور في الموقع بنسب متساوية في كل المقالات عينة الدراسة، وقد قدرت ب 50% لكل خدمة. ويعود ذلك لأهمية المنصات الرقمية التي تعتمد عليها المؤسسات الإعلامية بشكل مباشر أو غير مباشر في التواصل مع جمهورها، وهي جزء مهم من عملية إيصال الرسالة الإعلامية للمتلقين. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net في تغطيته لأزمة الشرق المتوسط على فن الخبر بشكل كبير، حيث بينت الدراسة أن فن الخبر الأكثر استخداما، وذلك بنسبة 61.54%، ويعود هذا حسب ما يرى الباحثان لطبيعة الأزمة وما كان ينقصها، لذا قدم للجمهور أرقام ومعلومات أكثر في قالب خبري تفي بالغرب. 3. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net في توظيفه لمصطلحات معالجة أزمة الشرق المتوسط على اتجاه التغطية مصطلحات الأزمة الصدارة، وهي تركيا، اليونان، منطقة الشرق الأوسط، أكثر 3 مصطلحات قريبة من أزمة الشرق المتوسط. لذلك فهي تعد مصطلحات تعريفية للأزمة، في حين نجد أن باقي المصطلحات أتت كوصف محيط بالأزمة تم الاستناد عليه في المقالات عينة الدراسة للحديث عن الظروف وما يحيط بالأزمة. ووظف الموقع في المجمل 768 مصطلح. 4. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net خلال تغطيته لأزمة الشرق المتوسط على مصادر رسمية الحكومات والسياسة بنسب أكبر من غيرها، وذلك بنسبة 40.98%، وهذا قصد تعزيز مصداقية صناع القرار في الأزمة. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net في مجموع الشخصيات الفاعلة في القصص الخبرية التي عالجها الموقع خلال أزمة الشرق المتوسط بالدرجة الأولى على الأطراف المعنية مباشرة بالأزمة والتي تمتلك خيوط الأزمة، يعني الجانب التركي والجانب اليوناني، حيث نالت شخصية الرئيس التركي رجب طيب أردوغان نسبة 26.33%، في حين نال رئيس الوزراء اليوناني ميتسوتاكيس نسبة 22.13%، وهما يمثلان الشخصيتان الرئيسيتان في الأزمة. اعتمد موقع الجزيرة.net في فئة اتجاه المضمون الصحفي خلال معالجته لأزمة الشرق المتوسط على تغطية مهنية نسبيا بمعظم تغطياته، وذلك بنسبة 82.69%، وهذا حسب ما يرى الباحثان يعود للخط التحريري الذي يعمل وفقه الموقع في الأزمات، حيث اعتمد في تغطيته على المصادر الرسمية كما تم التوضيح في النتائج المتحصل عليها سابقا. طيب، ختاما، وبالنظر إلى عينة الدراسة التي اختارها الباحثان والمتمثلة في موقع الجزيرة.net التابع لشبكة الجزيرة الإعلامية في قطر، يمكن القول أن هذه الأخيرة قد تعاملت مع الأزمة، يعني أزمة الشرق المتوسط، بمهنية إلى حد كبير نظرا لاعتمادها دوما الوسطية في الطرح، وإن كان يميل الطرح في بعض الأحيان لصالح الأطراف إلا أنه ليس بشكل بارز ولم يهضم حق، وهذا ما عزز ويعزز مصداقية الموقع عند جمهوره الذي تفاعل بشكل كبير كما تفاعل بشكل كبير مع ما ينشره الموقع عن أزمة الشرق المتوسط. وكانت المنصات الاجتماعية دوما تعرف تواجدا للأزمة وأخبارها، كما تفاعل الجمهور كذلك مع المقالات عينة الدراسة المنشورة في موقع الجزيرة والنت من خلال خدمتي التعليق والنشر. ويمكن القول أن الموقع قد قدم معالجة إعلامية جيدة للأزمة على جميع المستويات، وهذا ما يؤخذ من موقع الجزيرة والنت ويحمل على محمل الجد كصورة متطورة محترفة لأساسيات المعالجة الإعلامية للأزمات. هذا كل ما يمكن قوله في هذه الورقة البحثية، ونحيل الكلمة للسيد رئيس الجلسة مشكورا. بارك الله فيكم.
Thank you, Doctor. For your contribution and for your valuable insights from the topic. I think our session is done. If we have any questions, we can ask to our participants. So far, we already completed the studies that are assigned in this session. I would like to thank you all our participants and all our academics to attend this symposium, this international symposium. And I would like to thank our colleagues in ORSAM for their effort to establish to run such a symposium. Thank you for their effort again. So if we don't have any questions, I would like to close this session. Thank you again for your support, and hope to see you in the next symposiums and in the future works. We are always open to cooperate any works with you. Please take our information, and you are always welcome to send your policy briefs, analyses, reports to ORSAM. Thank you again, and I will see you later, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hope to see you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ahmet Hocam, kapatıyoruz muyuz burayı? Şey yapalım mı?